Greetings.
Greetings.
So close to being ready. Greetings.
Greetings.
Greetings and welcome. Greetings and welcome to Out of Noise with your host Stella B
And Nat Nye.
So normally we do Out of Noise once a week, hitting on trending subjects. But we've jumped on to do another Out of Noise. This is going to be episode 14 because there's a very, very serious thing that we want to talk about today.
That's right. Every episode we bring our piece to the mic. So the aim and objective is for you to tune in frequently, to tune into our frequency. And we're just here to bring up the higher vibes, to raise the vibrations within ourselves and transmit that to all of you who do tune in.
That's right. So we are poets, people of extraterrestrial substance. That's right. So we are bringing the magic onto the mic every single week for you. So introductions over. We just have to jump straight in and talk about Tyre Nichols and police brutality. Now, our angle is one of empowerment, so we just want to prepare you for that. Just know we are just not going to be here sitting on this couch trying to suppress, depress, make you feel sad or a type of way about who you are and the powerful king and queen that is sitting watching this video right now. We are here to bring strength, empowerment, enlightenment, and tell you all the powerful things that are going on in our community today. But we are also going to break down for you the system of police brutality and give our perspective on what we can do to remain full of strength. The weapon of this system is weakening us or attempting to weaken us through a constant barrage of attacks. So as soldiers and warriors in the front line, we need that empowerment, we need that inspiration. We are poets and we're here to bring you that inspiration through our thoughts, our words, and just a little hint about all of the great stuff that is currently going on in our community.
That's right, absolutely. So yeah, we're going to talk about Tyre Nichols. Well, most people would know by now or be aware of the horrific beating to death that he suffered and the tasering to death that he actually suffered at the hands of the police in the United States of America. This is nothing new. George Floyd was 2020, that's 2.5 years ago. We're at the beginning of 2023 right now. And, you know, when George Floyd happened, we were saying at the time that the movement that Black Lives Matter and the movement that rose up. What's the words I'm actually saying? It was already risen. Basically, the aftermath of George Floyd, there were certain moves that were being made, not only by our people, but a recognition around the world of systemic racism. So it wasn't just police brutality, the conversation stretched to all areas of society where black people are being oppressed. And so there was talks from corporations and nations and different people in positions of power and the people in and amongst the community of how things have to change. And there was a lot of status symbol moves that was happening at that time. What's transpired is that in 2022 in America, they suffered the highest amount of police killings since it's ever been recorded in their nation's history. 2022, that's what happened. So this is after Trump, a racist president, to a party's president, or to a shift from a party that is considered racist with a racist president to a party that people think and associate with being more friendly to black people and black people's concerns under that regime is the one where you have the highest spike. And we heard of a few different police brutality incidents that didn't actually make the mainstream news as it should have. But this one has. And this one has with 5 black police officers that have been the ones that committed this level of wicked violence. But they weren't the only ones. What has come out is basically the dad has come out, and Stella will show the clip, but there was a white police officer involved as well who actually tasered the young man as well. And the media does what the media does, which is should not be a surprise to any of us by now, surely. This is including CNN and on the ones that we deem to be more friendly towards us, right? Like, they're none of them are friendly, they're all enemies. And they have chosen to show the 5 black officers for the purpose of an agenda, which is basically to pour water on the claims that the police is actually systemically racist.
We have to accept that police brutality incorporates different elements. Racism, racial profiling, the stop and search, okay? Murder, corruption, rape, okay? And there's many cases of all these sexual violence against women who they get access to, women who are sex workers, etc. This police system is messed up because it's built on the foundations of evil. You essentially have an enforcement of the power structure. This is what the level of policing is. Or the soldiers, or the people who are going to go out there and maintain the peace for the king at the top, okay? I'm talking about America as well. I'm being metaphorical, but it's quite literal in terms of the history of how the police exist, how they came into existence. That is what the police is made up of. And when you join the police as someone of color, okay, especially in areas like Illinois or in the urban areas of London, Manchester, wherever it is, just know that you are joining into, as 19 Keys put it, a fraternity, a pact, a gang. Okay, it's groupthink, it's a group mentality. There could be one amongst you that is watching some stuff go down, and your role is to shush and just let it happen. So everything in you that would be screaming in that moment, this can't be happening, we're not supposed to do this, this is wrong, that's a human being. Because you have joined that pack mentality and you've been browbeaten over time to accept that mentality, that's what we do. We do go into a drug heist, take half the money that is there and keep it shush between us. There's countless movies that they break this down with, okay? Movies is not just films, you know. This is real life history. They're recording for you and showing you what the corrupt nature of these systems that are in place. And it goes right up to the top. Right up to the top. It can't be a coincidence bringing in Chris Cabba. And yeah, just to note what Nat said. The father of Tyree Nichols in America, who was killed, beaten so brutally, he was in hospital for a short period of time and he died. He passed away from his injuries. But they have highlighted only the black officers who were involved in that beating. But there was a white officer and others who he hasn't named specifically, who haven't been named, who have not been mentioned in the whole thing. A white officer was actually tasering him, which we know can cause severe damage to your internal organs. So why are they making it about the race of these black officers? Essentially a black on black crime, essentially, is what they're doing. Why? Why, when there was a white officer involved, or probably several white officers? We don't know, but we do know that the father has mentioned they have not shown a white officer that was actually tasering Tyree Nichols, who was an innocent man who, you know, it's coming out that he's a skateboarder, he just loved life and all this kind of stuff. And it's so funny that it's the time when they want to highlight these black officers that you're really seeing them humanize the victim. They are actually accepting he's a victim. But with George Floyd, we were hearing all of the negative stuff. You had to fight for the positive stuff to be put out about him. And even at a point, they just weren't having it. It doesn't matter. He was a porn person, he did this, like, this is the first time that you're seeing a big, massive case pushed in your face like this, where they're actually turning around to say, oh, he loved life, he was, you know, he's such a good person, and they're painting this actual fair picture of the guy, which you never get, because it's black officers that they want to plaster all over the place and show you this violence. Why are you watching it?
Well, yeah, it's that. So in some way, shape, or form, they have to depict a person of African descent as being bestial or savage, and they've got that with these police officers, so they can humanize the other the black victim in this case. In which regards, other cases, even we've had 12-year-old children being shot and killed by the police, and that child has not been humanized. So when it comes to this situation, Tyree Nichols has been humanized, as he should be, but it just shows that the media are capable of humanizing those who they so choose to, and they are also capable of holding the police to account without debate. They can hold them to account, but also they've shown that they're capable of only doing that with black police officers, because the omission of the white officer involved, I mean, but basically with all these huge media platforms, this is just another piece of evidence that of confirming those of us who know Wagwan, that this is not surprising to us really. This is what they do. They paint narratives to create or to continue to actually just continue to continue the narrative. That is what they're doing. They're continuing a narrative of basically a certain group of people deserve what they get, and to not hold those who are the system that creates such a wicked environment to continue to do so. So it is important to talk about Chris Kaba as well. You mentioned Chris Kaba. It's important to talk about Chris Kaba because, you know, a part of what has come out, I did see on Twitter, someone tweet, I hope the British Black Lives Matter can now disassociate from the issues in the US as if they are similar over here, and the police brutality is not a race issue. That was the 2 points that that individual decided to make, and from our standpoint, we have observed and studied history, and then within our own lives we've observed, and we've been on the front line, we've been activists, we've been to so many different protests and organizational meetings, and we've dissected facts and we've seen the patterns, and basically we've read the script. So the continuation of their behavior is not surprising to us, really. It's not surprising. And the talking points is not surprising to us either. So we understand what the narrative that they're looking to maintain. And Chris Kaba has to be mentioned because that case has not been solved. Chris Kaba, an unarmed, young, black male, 24 years old, a father to be, an architect to be, was murdered, was killed. He was killed without warning. He was shot, followed and shot by the police. I mean,
and there's so many questions. There's so many questions about what happened. If you follow Jefferson Bosella, he is the cousin and now activist in this whole thing. He's literally quit his job as a teacher to be a full-time activist until justice is served. Now, how many times has this happened throughout history where a crime against our people has been committed and forced people into activism? What other fulfillment of life could he be doing? How many children are missing out on his great teachings because now he has to be a full-time activist against police brutality? And he's a blessed human being. He wrote a book, I think a year or two before the tragic death of his and murder of his cousin, which I believe that a part of our activism should be supporting him by buying the book. If 100,000 people buy that book, he's set for life, and he deserves to be, because he's committing to fight against this police brutality that exists globally. The system of policing is cruel and evil and wicked because of where it comes from. If you think about Brazil, where you have the second largest amount of black people, Africans, in the world.
Just outside of Africa.
Outside of Africa, in the
The
world.
largest.
The largest, sorry.
Outside of Africa.
And what do you think they're doing to all those black people, those African people, the police I'm talking about? Police brutality is an issue. When Michael Jackson's saying they don't really care about us, and he goes to Brazil to do that music video, the second version of it, there's a reason. He's pointing out these crimes against human beings who are darker skinned. African people are being attacked by law enforcement. And now, Jefferson has to be a courageous and brave activist out of circumstance. He talks about in a documentary done by the Sky News, the reporter Shingy, who is of African descent as well, and he talks about how he felt when he got the information. He got a text from a mate saying to him, Chris Cabba, highlighting that someone had been shot by the police in Streatham. Like, can you imagine finding that out? You don't want to imagine it. And this is why we get the fatigue. When we see this footage, when we hear these stories, we get tired. We were tired from George Floyd. And then this is like a perpetual yearly annual thing. The frustrations that we feel is a regular feeling. Why? The question, why? Why are they doing this to us? Because they know your power. Because they have to relentlessly continue to step on our necks, put the knees upon our necks for perpetuality, because they know if they just ease off the gas a little bit, it's over. We will no longer be oppressed. We'll be standing upright. Do you remember that talk that Robin Walker did about at the three heavyweight kings? Can we talk about that a little bit?
Oh.
Yeah, because I'm talking and I realise when I'm talking. But
do you remember? You know what you want to talk about. Yeah. So
Robin Walker talked about. He asked a question at the beginning of his talk, and he said, "How, in the years that followed slavery ending in America, how long do you think it took for African Americans to produce great things?" In a roundabout way, that's the question. And people are thinking, they haven't yet, have they? Or, I don't know, people put probably names in their heads, numbers in their heads, generations, still doing it. And do you know that in the first 20 years, just 20 years, that we had the first African American female millionairess? We also even found out another female millionairess who's not talked about, actually, who was before that one in that short space of time. And plus countless other things as well.
And CJ Walker.
Yes, imagine CJ Walker, but we need to mention the other, her means of acquiring money a little more unscrupulous, and maybe that's why she's not mentioned as much. But nevertheless, these are the powers
Really?
that we're
I can't
talking.
remember what they were.
Sex work.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay.
And I was saying to you that's probably why they might hide it, because it's the brothels. You don't remember
Not sex work.
the brothels?
Yeah, I don't remember that. We'll find it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, getting back on point, what I'm trying to say is it doesn't take long for us. It doesn't take long. You know, we are people that can do alchemy. We can do alchemy. We can turn pain into power, and we have to have that attitude. But we can't allow them to beat us up so much that we kind of end up shrugging whenever a new incident occurs. We can't. We have to show solidarity. We can't do it in a tweet alone. We have to get in front of the camera, which is why we decided to do this today. We have to get in front of the camera. We have to speak. We have to keep the energy going no matter what. And the perspective must be, okay, what is the future? What is the vision? When you go and you protest, what is the vision en masse? What is the vision that we're all seeing en masse when we go and we gather and we protest against these crimes, against these criminals? What are we actually visioning for the future? Together, en masse, in a oneness, in one vision. What are we seeing? How do we paint that vision? We are the poets, we are the artists, but we can all create together, we can all visualize together a picture that we all aspire to. A united Africa, the diaspora connected to Africa, knowing our worth, knowing who we are, fighting all the time against the crimes against us, winning the fights, not having it, closing it straight away. All of the presidents standing up to say, no, we're not having that. George Floyd was disgusting, and all the presidents of Africa are saying, this is disgusting, and we unite in one voice and we say, we're not having that. You do not get any of our assets, any of our minerals anymore until you stop this police brutality against our people. You do not have access in this continent anymore until you stop that against our people that are on your soil. That is when you can get access. But before then, you don't get access anymore. That's it. You are treating our people like they are less than dogs. You treat animals better than you treat our human beings. That's the unity, and that's the vision that we have to have.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I just want to add that, okay, I was saying to Stella earlier, my faith in human beings over the years has actually got less and less and less, to be honest, if I'm real. And if our episode reaches you, it connects with you, then we're talking to you. And the reason why my faith has got less and less is because I don't know at this point I'm questioning at what point is enough really enough for us. And the practice of unity has to be beyond the state of reaction. So I feel like in times like this, when it's so blatantly obvious, you see the media making a thing of it, like I was saying earlier, 2022, I don't know the percentage, but we know that the percentage is going to be high of the amount of citizens in the United States of America that was murdered or killed by the police. We know that it would have been very high of that amount, and it was a record high in total last year. This is just 2 years, or what? Not even 2 years after the 2 years after the killing of George Floyd. We're not talking like decades before. And when people will talk in terms of progress and what progress actually looks like, and we can see within our own lifetime, what kind of progress are we talking about when you're having record high of police killings just last year? People are talking about this and making comparisons between this level of violence that Tyree Nichols had and Rodney King 30 years ago. So what progress is actually happening? Do you know what I'm saying? When you look at our community as well, or our communities globally, what progress are we actually talking about? So the good things that have been happening are happening or whatnot. When you compare it to certain things that have happened historically, if we're talking about progress in terms of a chronological movement, then we're supposed to see it from this point. Okay, we achieved this, now we're over here. When we did the Oscars episode, the last episode, we did the Oscars and talking about Halle Berry, right? Halle Berry 20 years ago was the first, over 20 years ago, the first African American to win Best Actress. It's not happened since. Despite there being several worthy African American actress of that award, barely get nominated, let alone winning. My whole point is, where we have to question the progress, and then when it's all said and done, you're listening to speeches from Malcolm X, you listen to the speeches of Martin Luther King or Marcus Garvey and the innumerable amount of them, Angela Davis, Assata Shakur, you listen to them. Their words are pretty much, what do you have to edit out of it to be relevant to today? Like literally, what do you have to edit out of that? And so the onus really does come to us. Only we can stop this ourselves. And that is only going to happen when we get out of the reactionary mode and we practice, as they're saying, we practice the unity though. Every single day we practice unity. So we can't just be highlighting those of us that do highlight the systemic racism with this thing, and then once it dies down, we get back to life, and then we get back into diaspora wars, or we get back to life and we're back on the gender wars, or we get back to life and we're just back on the distractions of a Love Island, or the distractions of the whatever the television decides to throw at us. We get back to that until the next time this happens again, and then we get upset again, and when we talk about it. But each time we're getting more and more fatigued, each time we're getting more and more desensitized, each time our response in terms of the feeling behind the words is becoming less. So we will use the words, but the meaning is not as strong as it was before, because we are tired, and our conviction is not as strong in terms of the conviction leading to change. It's just not as strong. So I feel fundamentally, for us to actually make change in real terms is to practice unity as a lifestyle. To practice what the world we want to live in, we have to embody that as a lifestyle. It can't just be limited to hope and reactionary behaviour, which is the frame that they want to keep us in anyway. This is why they keep doing what they're doing and attacking us in whichever way they possibly can, and which is why they allow certain music out there that is mind controllers on our people, who don't teach about how great we are. This is why they want to remove Black history, the very little that there is, from the curriculums. This is why they do what they do. This is why they make it difficult for us to connect globally. We have to connect globally. We have to connect with each other. We have to fight for our unity. We have to practice the unity. When we are having our disagreements amongst each other, it is natural. But what isn't natural is to maintain a certain level of angst towards each other that we do afford other people, because they're paying us, or because we have to live in this society. We have to have an extra level of discipline in terms of what unity looks like. Unity doesn't mean that we must agree on everything all the time. Unity means that when we are not in agreement, we practice that unity anyway, because for the sake of all of us, for us to benefit, for us to change the situation that we're currently in, we have to practice a whole nother level of unity. That's what we've got to do. Otherwise, basically the same stuff is going to keep happening, and we'll just keep talking about the same stuff in a loop. And our children and their children will be doing the same thing, and we don't want that. So we've got to break that cycle by actually, practicing unity in real terms, and just thinking about supporting each other in whichever way that we possibly can, connecting with the continent in whichever way we can, and rising each other up from as individuals, as families, as communities, as nations.
Absolutely spot on. The unity is paramount. It was mentioned by Damon Dash in his recent interview with 19 Keys. Unity. Have we ever tried unity? Unity. All the different fractions of us, we unite under the one ideal, the one vision, which is us out of oppression. Africa supporting and backing every African around the world, every diaspora. Unity, that is it, full stop. I don't care what sexuality, I don't care about your, skin tone or all of that gone. Religion, blah blah blah. Unity, black love first. Our categories, man. It's unity. That is the paramount. That is that is it. That is the key thing. Just gonna wrap up now. We've just wanted to jump on and just highlight this issue and just inspire people don't lose faith in our power and your strength. You have power, you have strength, you are magical beings. You have been given and gifted a life for a reason and a purpose, and it's more than what the system wants you to be imprisoned by. Okay, it's an entrapment and an idea that as soon as you're birthed, you start to be chopped up into pieces. But the fact is, we have magical powers, and we are able to alchemize an existence that we prefer. Yeah, we are able to do those things. Look at the pain being turned into power. We look at Black Pound Day, which was catalyzed by the horrific death of George Floyd and crystallized after that. Now it is a shop, and now there is another branch in Stratford. So there's a shop that has been there for over a year now in Westfield, in that joint over there, Shepherd Bush. And now is in Stratford branch as well. There's a pop-up there too. So support those black-owned businesses. Black-owned businesses, start working together, start connecting. If you're doing a beauty brand and you need the shea butter, put your money together, get the shea butter. Work in unity. If you're butchers, if you're this or you're that, put your money together. Show force of power. Unity is better for you. The months that you're down, someone else is up, you're going to be okay because you're putting your money together and you're thinking long term. That's the way it has to be. That is the only way we're going to survive this, is economic power and strength. And we know this. Marcus Garvey said this 100 years ago. Okay? And he did it. So there's no excuse for us. We've got technology. Learn the technology is what me and Nat are doing. We're going to use that technology to empower our people, ourselves, and then our people are going to see us as examples of what we're talking about. But we're here to inspire that today. So do support the Black Pound Day store. Do support Money Mob. My ancestors are talking through me and they wanted me to do Niger accent. Money Mob. They want to say support Money Mob. And support conscious artists, bro. You're angry. You're talking about the drill is terrible and blah, blah, blah. But which conscious artists are you buying their album, their music? Are you supporting when they on the come up? Tell the truth now. Don't just tell me to Kendrick Lamar because he still uses the N-word. No, I'm joking. Or J. Cole, and that's it. Like, no, it's not enough. You have to support the conscious artists. There's so many. Support the work that they're doing and the message, the conscious message that is being put out by the conscious artists out there. And lastly, the activists. I said already earlier, Jefferson Bercella has got a book. If 100,000 people, or the people that came out and they marched, if just that amount, if 30,000 people, and you spread that message that we are going to empower this man to be able to be, don't have to work another day in his life in terms of a 9 to 5, but he's fully focused on bringing justice for his cousin and other people affected by police brutality. We can do that. That's our activism. It's passive for you. If you've got that income and you buy books, buy his book, promote it. The content is great as well, but it doesn't actually matter. It doesn't actually matter. That's the point. It's the mentality of it. We are thinking of clever ways to support our brother. Okay, he's made a book. Buy it. Buy the book. It's £10, I think. Do it. And support grassroots movements. We've been harping on about this for so long. Sometimes we're inspired by a Tyree Nicole situation, a George Floyd situation, a this or that situation. We go, I'm going to start this. And guess what? It's already been done. It was started 20 years ago. But grassroots organisations are not supported. They lose their buildings because funding will run out if they're getting public funding or charity fundings. They stop giving them that fund. It stops after a while. Okay? So then it fades to darkness, but the issues still remain in that community because it takes time to heal. It takes a lot of resources. It takes human resource, and people need to care, but we are given so many other things to care about. And I'm talking about numbing things that are just not even of that don't even matter really and truly. I'm talking EastEnders. What happened to a character in EastEnders? That's what we'll focus on, because we're trying to numb that pain of the true existence that we have here as Black people in this country. So do support these grassroots. Think about supporting Auntie Jean's African Cultural Market that has been going on for 8 years. Auntie Jean has the mentality of Marcus Garvey. She has set up a Garvey village in Jamaica. The Garvey village is to be set up here to support the vulnerable here, elderly, people with disabilities, poverty, people who are impoverished, all of that, and then empowering the community with knowledge, self-start knowledge, things that can help you in your future and your Black family. Learning about what a trust is, learning about the banking system, learning about your health, learning and then actually supporting Black-owned businesses, market stalls that are actually African-owned and with Pan-African mentality as well. 8 years that's been going on. Support it so that it can be upgraded and be in a venue that you actually respect. But support it financially or with your human resources. Find the time, make the time, because this is priority. They're gonna be up in at the rampage against us. They used the technology to locate that car that Chris Kaba was in. That technology has been a problem for the Black community for a while, from its existence. It indiscriminately detects our faces and merges us into different people. It's a weapon against us as well. We have to be on it like we are on the battlefield, and that means self-care, looking after your health inside and out, going to spaces where you know it's all about your community, like tapping into these spaces as a priority, not as a secondary thought, as a priority. Because if you have a son, if you have a daughter, you have a child in this country, they are vulnerable. We are all vulnerable to this shit. Sorry to swear. But we are all susceptible to this. It's not about staying inside your house and thinking, oh, it would never Chris Kaba my son. Do you not think that his poor mum would never have dreamed this in her whole life? She too was watching that Queen had gone on the news. That was probably what she was all focused on. And then all of a sudden she got a call, a knock on the door. Can you imagine? So putting yourself in that place, now we have to know that we are on a battlefield and it's time for us to just do the work. It's time for us to do the work and support those grassroots organisations that are out there doing the work. The Manhood Academy is another one. Okay, raising soldiers. Womanhood Academy is there as well somewhere. transformation for young people, so that they do not become vulnerable to the state mentality and the state thinking, and belittle who they are and not know themselves. And hidden science, that's another great one. Teaching our people about who we really are on a what's the word?
Scientific level.
Yeah. Atomic.
Okay.
Is that the word?
What are you trying to say?
A cellular and atomic level.
What do you mean? Telling our people where they really are at an atomic level.
On an atomic level, on a cellular level.
Okay.
Like breaking down the melanin within us.
Right.
The power of us.
Yes.
The word in my head, but it's not coming up. So yeah, that's really the message today. Nat, do you want to close?
I think you said it all, Stella. You said it all. Yeah. So yeah, that is our frequency in relation to the most recent mainstream coverage of a horrific police brutality incident of Tyree Nichols, and our hearts and our spirits go out to the families of all those who are affected by police brutality. So yeah, we're closing out. Once again, like, subscribe, share this video. Yeah, that's it for this episode. Like, subscribe, and share, and buy us a coffee in the description below. My name is Nat Nai, and right next to me is Stella B from Out of Noise.
See you next time.